Wow, biggest crash in crypto history, biggest liquidation event in crypto history. Are you ready to find out the truth of what actually happened? What caused this and what's going to happen next? First of all, the question is the bull market still alive? Like, first of all, I don't even know which chart to use because look at this, right? This is, folks know that I usually use the Bitstamp Bitcoin chart. Today, I'm going to take you guys through why the crash happened, what caused the crash, what happens next, which coins are looking good or better than normal, okay? Which are the coins that are looking better than normal, and if the altcoin season is dead, if the bull run is dead, let's take a closer look at this. What a crazy situation we're in. So I don't even know which chart to use because, see, this chart is Bitstamp. Folks know I usually use the Bitstamp chart, and this is the Bitstamp USDT chart, not the USD chart, which I normally use. And we can see here, it bottomed at here. Bottomed at 100K. Wow. 100.6K. 100.6K. If we use the Binance chart, okay, here's the Binance chart, and we can see that it went pretty crazy as well. Wicked down all the way to 101.9K, right? 101.9K. And Bitstamp went down to 100K, 100.6K. Essentially, it's all about wicking out all the leveraged loans, right? So basically, it was a big exchange operation by the exchanges to wick everyone out. I will show you guys later on which exchanges actually didn't go down that far, right? Which exchanges actually didn't go anywhere near that low, like, much higher, 3-4% higher, 104K, 105K, it stopped, right, this exchange. But anyways, let's get back to the markets. Whilst I didn't think that the markets would go down this low, I was warning, saying that, look, we've had a bearish engulfing pattern. That means we're going lower, right? Because this red bar took out this entire green bar, and these breakthroughs should be decisive. Last time I warned perfectly. I said, look, bearish engulfing pattern, we're going down. This time I said we're going down, but only to 116, 117K. I didn't know they were going to take it this far. It was pure manipulation. What I did warn about was the 4-year cycle, because remember this, guys, if you're in my Discord or if you have been in the watch my videos for the last 4 or 5 days, you know that I've been talking about this 4-year cycle. Bitcoin would spend 1 year down, 3 years up, 1 year down, 3 years up, right? It's been this cycle. 3 years, 35 bars or 35 month here. It reaches the top or 165 days later. 35 month reaches the top or 166 days later. 35 days, 165 days later. This was October the 6th. And folks might remember, I made a video on October the 6th saying this is the top of the 4-year cycle. Of course, I'm not claiming credit for it. I'm not saying I called this, not at all. I thought that was a small probability. I thought we would pull back to like 116, 117K, and then we would bounce up. Then pure exchange manipulation happened and crash prices down. So what's another example that I can think of is this one. Okay, this was also related to the 4-year cycle because this was Bitcoin price after halving. So this is how many days after the halving. 2013 cycle, that topped too early. 2017, right, it topped how many? 530 days or 1.5 years after the halving. And then 2021, this was 64K and then 69K top, and it topped pretty much 545 days after the halving. And now we're inside this zone again. See this red dotted line, we're inside this zone again, and boom, we are near here, and we're supposed to top somewhere here. So that confirms October the 6th could be the top. That's what I said, and I made a video about this like 3 or 4 days ago. You can all go and watch it. I was not sure. Look, I'm not claiming credit. I didn't know this was going to happen. I said this is one probability, and we should take it seriously until we know exactly what's happening. Until we can fully discount the 4-year cycle, we should take this a little bit more seriously. But what's going to happen next, and what actually happened with the market, what caused the crash, which coins are going to work from now on? Before we answer that question, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo use? Well, Pablo uses this exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show any of your ID. That means the exchange can't even see who you are. So that means the IRS can't see you, the tax office can't see you, FBI, CIA, nobody can see you, right? That's why I made this exclusive deal with them. Trade and win with Pablo. Exclusive, win up to $120,000, right? And get a 20% bonus just by depositing. Deposit $100, get $20. Deposit $1,000, get $200 right? Futures bonus. Limited time, folks. This deal finishes on October 16th, midnight. And if you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. But if you're watching this on any other platform, such as this one, that's okay. Just click on my profile page, and there's my link tree or stand link. We click on that, and it should be the first deal that pops up because this is a great deal. Okay, let's get back to the markets, folks. But remember, this deal is only on the Pablo link. Only on the Pablo link. So now the thing is, we were looking at prices of Bitcoin, and I said I didn't know which chart to use, right? Because look at this. Bitcoin Binance, Bitcoin USDT got down to 101K, and Bitcoin USDT on this is Bitstamp. Let's go Bitstamp. USDT on Bitstamp. Let's see, which is the one I normally use. As I've shown you guys, it goes all the way down to 100K. So we almost took out that low. So we almost hit a new lower low. If it hits a new lower low, then technically we are screwed, right? Then technically we're screwed. But what happened is, on some other exchanges, prices didn't go down that low. For example, this is Bitunix, as I was telling you guys, the exchange that I use, right? It only went to 104K, right? So that's 4K higher than Bitstamp and 3K higher than Binance. That's probably one of the highest out there. So they basically, like Binance took it down to 101K, which was 3% lower. They basically just tried to crash prices with everything. Bitstamp took it to 100K, which was even like here, even lower, right? I'm sure some exchanges even took to 99K, right? And then you can't even recognize the chart because look at this. Right now we can see clearly, right? Clearly a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher low. That's a higher low, clearly. Whereas if you take it to 100K, 99K, 100K, 101K, like what Binance has done, like what Bitstamp has done, then it looks like a double bottom here. At least now we have a clear higher low, and we can maybe bounce from here, right? That's why I use Bitunix. Anyways, so it's a couple of the situations we're looking at. It just seems crazy. I'll show you guys. For example, this is Atom. I think that example has gone viral today. Basically, it went from around $4 and it just dropped to like zero. And the question I have is, how can that be zero? How can that be zero? Hit zero for one moment and bounce to $2.90 when it was at $4. Because the thing is, this is on Binance as well. Again, on Binance. The problem is this. See, all of this started because of the Trump tweet that he's going to put on 100% tariffs on China. And he's done that before. He hiked tariffs to 145% on China, and China retaliated with 120% tariffs on the United States. That's already happened before. That's not anything new, right? We saw that back in March this year. So, and even back then, like Atom was around like $3, $2. And even during the bear market, bear winter, right? It was $2, $1.50. So why is it at 0 cents right? Like here? And it went down for like 1 minute and came up to $2.80. Why is that? That's just pure and simple exchange manipulation to try to take out all the longs all the stops of all the longs here, right? That's simply what it is. Let me give you guys more examples of what had happened here. Here's another example of a coin called IOTX. Went down to zero, literally went down to zero, boom, and I'm sure it's bounced back. It was at 3 cents and then went down to zero. All right, plenty of examples like this. Yep. So these are the liquidations. They were basically trying to hunt everyone who was going long and who was going short, mostly the longs, right? This is on just one of the exchanges. We saw like they gave these large traders these funny nicknames. This guy got wiped out for 60 mil. This guy got wiped out for 35 mil, and 22 mil here, 20 mil, 20 mil, 19 mil, 19 mil, 18.5 mil, 17 mil, 17 mil. I mean, they took out a lot of big traders. Total liquidation chart. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Like, this is since April, since the bottom of the bull of this bull leg up, right? Shorts getting liquidated are in red. Longs getting liquidated are in green. And we can see, boom, how many longs got liquidated here, right? 19 billion. 19 billion longs, 19 billion got liquidated, of which 16 billion are longs. And you know how many people, what was the amount of liquidation during COVID? Take a guess. What was the liquidation amount during COVID? It was actually just, it was actually 1.2 billion. So today's liquidation, yesterday's liquidation on Friday evening US time, Saturday, was actually 16 times larger than COVID. And you think about that and go, how could that be? How can the situation be 16 times worse than COVID? So that's what happened to the exchanges. And you can see, as I showed you guys, large exchanges like Binance or small exchanges like Bitstamp, they just take advantage and they take the prices down to ridiculous levels like 100K, 101K, right? Bitunix at least only took it to 104K, right? It's doing well by those standards, right? Atom, we see it again from $4.20 at 1 minute, boom, down to zero. Just giving people no chance. And Binance, CZ, this guy is actually the guy who's doing it all. He's actually the guy who's doing it all, right? And he's like, pointing. Why don't you tweet it yourself, bro? Why don't you tweet it yourself? He's like actually pointing at this Quinton guy as if he agrees with this message saying, COVID crash, 1.2 billion liquidations. FTX crash, 1.6 billion liquidations. Today's crash, 19.3 billion liquidations. You wish you bought during COVID crash? This is your COVID crash, so you should buy, right? Here's 19.3 billion crash today. And CZ's going, yeah, I'm pointing at that, saying, yeah, you should do that, without actually saying that, because then he'd go to jail again. There will be legal consequences. But the point is, I think this is the guy who's mainly responsible actually for this crash. And the fact that he's pointing this out, I do think the bottom's in at 101K or 100K, depends on which chart you look at. That 100K, 101K area, I think that bottom is in. Why is that? Because how much more can you sell? How many more longs are there? You've just liquidated like 70% of the longs out there, basically, right? That's what you have done here. So not many more longs to liquidate, right? What else we're looking at? Here's another chart. Fartcoin, for example. Fartcoin, and we had what? Here is the open interest. Open interest means number of futures contracts that were open, and we saw boom, it just goes like straight down, right? It goes boom, straight down, like basically back to June levels. This was July, August, September, October, right? All that volume build up, which has gone boom, back straight to October, June levels. Why? Because all those longs got wiped out. open interest weighted, shows the same thing here. And here is aggregated liquidations. Aggregated liquidations. The greens are the shorts, reds are the longs. Boom, look at that. Boom. All the longs got liquidated when the price came down from here, right? Farcoin. It's just bad. Like it's basically a liquidity hunt. All the longs are cleared out. So all the longs are cleared out. Then why, I don't understand, why would there be any more crashes below 100K 100K in the Bitcoin price? Because they've already gotten all the longs out. So you would think price has made at least a very strong short-term local bottom here. But where is price going to go from here? That's what everyone's interested in. On the one hand, it depends on the crazy tweets of Trump and what he's going to do with China, right? China's obviously going to fight back. I'll keep you guys updated on all of that, especially my Discord. You guys know this. That's what I did last time. So here are the short-term holders, right? Profit and loss to exchanges. And they've, in the last 24 hours, look at this spike. They've basically sent like 37,700 Bitcoins to the exchange. When they usually send that many exchanges, and the red line is short-term holders loss to exchange in the last 24 hours. When they send that many coins to exchange at a loss, then basically market bottoms, right? So that, because it just means they're panicking. What about, what can we compare this situation to? So basically, look, people say this is like the COVID capitulation, right? Well, here was COVID. That was when actually all of the United States and the entire world shut down due to a once-in-a-century viral disease. And yesterday was just actually caused by a tweet from Trump. But anyways, Bitcoin slammed from like 10K down to 3K, right? And even that, like a 70% drop in Bitcoin did not even, only created 1.2 billion liquidation. Yesterday was 19 billion liquidation. Think about how much manipulation there was. So from there onwards, look at this, boom, pretty much Bitcoin bottomed and then slowly grinded up. But remind you, that was because the Federal Reserve came out and said unlimited physical printing to support the markets, right? So we can't depend on that example and say that's exactly what's going to happen. Here was the first local top, double top in 2021. This was at 64K and basically top in April. And then in May, this was when Pablo became famous by calling the 30K drop. We all remember this, boom, dropped to almost exactly 30K, 30,000, Pablo said. And then pretty much also bottomed here. Right, the Fed didn't do anything new, also bottomed here and only went slightly lower to 28.5, and then boom. Then it went to 69K, and everyone who bought alts here had a good run. What can we compare to? FTX crash. FTX crash was around here, right? November 22, boom, it went from $21,000 to $15,000, and boom, it went slightly lower to 15.3, slightly lower, and then went sideways and up we went again. So each of those times, it seems the market did bottom or bottom somewhere slightly lower, but not too much lower to go. There was max fear. People had given up on crypto. People had given up and walked away from crypto. So I'm leaning towards that's the scenario. I need to investigate more and confirm this. But so far, let me just leave it with you guys for those three examples. That's where I think will happen. Can't be 100% confident. Let me do more research and get back to you guys with my next episode. Catch you next episode. Bye-bye.